In the vast landscape of gaming history, few franchises have captured hearts and sparked competition quite like Mario Kart. Born from Nintendo's creative vision in 1992, this beloved racing series has evolved from humble Super Nintendo beginnings into a global phenomenon spanning decades. Through countless late nights, family gatherings, and friendly rivalries, Mario Kart has woven itself into the fabric of gaming culture. Tonight, we embark on a journey through the hidden secrets, fascinating development stories, and remarkable achievements that have shaped this iconic franchise. From the original Super Mario Kart to the record-breaking success of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Prepare to discover the extraordinary world behind the blue shells and rainbow roads. The story of Mario Kart begins in the early 1990s when Nintendo's legendary designer Shigeru Miyamoto envisioned something unprecedented in the racing genre. Rather than creating another simulation focused on realistic cars and authentic tracks, Miyamoto dreamed of accessible racing that would welcome players of all skill levels while maintaining the charm and personality that made Nintendo's characters beloved worldwide. This vision would fundamentally reshape not just racing games, but the entire concept of competitive multiplayer entertainment. The technical foundation for Mario Kart's creation lay in the Super Nintendo's revolutionary Mode 7 graphics capability, a sophisticated scaling and rotation system that allowed flat sprites to appear three-dimensional. Nintendo had already demonstrated this technology's potential with F-Zero in 1990, a futuristic racing game that showcased blazing speed and smooth pseudo 3D movement. However, F-Zero's hardcore difficulty and steep learning curve limited its appeal to dedicated players, leaving Nintendo to wonder how they might create something more universally engaging. Miyamoto's team recognized that the key to broader appeal lay not in technical complexity, but in emotional connection. By populating their racing game with familiar faces from the Super Mario universe, they could instantly create investment and personality that no amount of realistic graphics could match. Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, and Bowser weren't just character selections. They were beloved companions whose presence transformed anonymous competition into personal rivalry and triumph. The story of Mario Kart begins not with grand ambitions or elaborate market research, but with a simple question posed in the halls of Nintendo's Entertainment Analysis and Development Division in the early 1990s. Shigeru Miyamoto, the legendary designer behind Super Mario Bros. And The Legend of Zelda, found himself contemplating how to expand the Mario universe beyond traditional platforming adventures. The concept seemed almost whimsical at first, taking the beloved characters from the Mushroom Kingdom and placing them behind the wheels of colorful go-karts, racing through fantastical circuits filled with power-ups and obstacles. The technical challenges facing the development team were immense, requiring innovations that would push the Super Nintendo Entertainment System to its absolute limits. The console's Mode 7 graphics chip became the cornerstone of their ambitious vision, allowing for the pseudo 3D racing experience that would define the genre for years to come. This specialized hardware could rotate and scale background layers in real time, creating the illusion of a three-dimensional racetrack stretching into the horizon. Engineers worked tirelessly to optimize every sprite and background element, ensuring that the frame rate remained smooth even with multiple racers on screen simultaneously. Miyamoto's philosophy for Mario Kart centered around accessibility without sacrificing depth, a design principle that would become the series' defining characteristic. Unlike the complex racing simulators that dominated arcade cabinets at the time, Mario Kart needed to be instantly playable by anyone, regardless of their gaming experience or age. The development team spent countless hours refining the control scheme, ensuring that accelerating, steering, and using power-ups felt natural and responsive. The decision to implement automatic acceleration as the default control method meant that players could focus on the more exciting aspects of racing, rather than constantly managing their speed. Character selection for the original roster proved to be a carefully considered process that extended far beyond simple popularity contests. The 8 chosen racers each represented different aspects of the Mario universe, from the heroic Plumber himself to the villainous Bowser and his loyal subjects. Mario and Luigi provided familiar faces for newcomers, while Princess Peach offered elegance and grace on the racetrack. Yoshi brought his dinosaur charm and unique sound effects, creating an immediate connection with players who had grown attached to the character in Super Mario World. Bowser and his Koopa Troopa minions represented the antagonist faction, their heavier builds affecting their racing characteristics in subtle but meaningful ways. Donkey Kong Jr. made his racing debut as a tribute to Nintendo's arcade heritage, while Toad rounded out the roster with his distinctive voice and mushroom-headed appearance. The creation of power-ups marked perhaps the most innovative aspect of Super Mario Kart's development, transforming what could have been a straightforward racing game into something entirely unique. The development team drew inspiration from the Super Mario Bros. Series, adapting familiar items like the Superstar and adding entirely new creations like the dreaded spiny shell. Each power-up served multiple purposes within the game's ecosystem, providing comebacks for trailing players while maintaining tension for those in the lead. The green shell became an icon of precision and skill, rewarding players who could master its ricocheting physics. Red shells introduced the concept of homing attacks, ensuring that even novice players could experience the satisfaction of successfully targeting their opponents. The banana peel offered defensive capabilities, while also serving as a hazard for unsuspecting racers, creating layers of strategy that extended well beyond simple item collection. Track design philosophy in the original Super Mario Kart established templates that would influence the series for decades to come. The development team created 8 distinct racing circuits, each presenting unique challenges and visual themes that showcased the Mode 7 technology's capabilities. Mario Circuit served as the introductory course, featuring gentle curves and straightforward layouts that allowed new players to familiarize themselves with the basic mechanics. Donut Plains introduced elevation changes and tighter turns, gradually increasing the skill requirements as players progressed through the championship. Bowser Castle represented the ultimate challenge, with its narrow passages, lava hazards, and complex route memorization testing. Even experienced racers. Rainbow Road became the series' signature finale, a psychedelic journey through space that pushed both the hardware and the players to their absolute limits. The influence of arcade racing games on Super Mario Kart's development cannot be overstated. Though the team deliberately chose to diverge from established conventions in several key areas. Traditional racing games focused primarily on realistic driving mechanics and track layouts based on real-world locations. Mario Kart embraced pure fantasy, creating impossible circuits that defied physics and geography. The decision to implement rubber band artificial intelligence, where computer-controlled opponents would adjust their performance based on the player's position, sparked debates that continue to this day. This system ensured that races remained competitive and exciting, preventing skilled players from dominating to the point where the experience became boring for others. However, it also frustrated players who felt that their superior racing abilities should guarantee victory. Super Mario Kart's launch in August 1992 exceeded Nintendo's expectations, both commercially and critically. Players embraced the unique blend of racing action and character-based gameplay, while reviewers praised the innovative use of the Super Nintendo's technical capabilities. The game's success validated Nintendo's approach to genre experimentation, proving that beloved characters could successfully transition into entirely different gameplay contexts. Sales figures reflected this enthusiasm, with the game becoming one of the best-selling titles on the platform and establishing Mario Kart as a permanent fixture in Nintendo's software library. The cultural impact of Super Mario Kart extended far beyond its immediate commercial success, effectively creating the kart racing subgenre that would inspire countless imitators and spiritual successors. Other developers took notice of Nintendo's formula, attempting to recreate the magic with their own character rosters and unique gameplay mechanics. However, none managed to capture the precise balance of accessibility, depth, and pure fun that made Mario Kart special. The game's influence can be seen in everything from Crash Team Racing to more recent entries like Sonic, All-Stars Racing Transformed, each attempting to find their own interpretation of the kart racing formula that Nintendo had perfected. The technical achievements of Super Mario Kart became a source of inspiration for developers working within similar hardware constraints, demonstrating what could be accomplished through clever programming and artistic vision. The smooth scaling and rotation effects achieved through Mode 7 pushed the boundaries of what players expected from 16-bit hardware, creating visual spectacle that remained impressive years after the game's release. Sound design played an equally important role, with composer Soyo Oka creating memorable melodies that perfectly complemented each track's theme and atmosphere. The iconic fanfare that played during victory celebrations became as recognizable as any melody in the Mario universe, cementing its place in video game music history. The foundation established by Super Mario Kart would prove remarkably durable, with core gameplay concepts and design principles carrying forward through every subsequent entry in the series. The basic formula of character-based racing with power-ups and fantastical track design became the template upon which all future Mario Kart games would be built. Even as technology advanced and new features were added, the essential spirit of that original Super Nintendo experience remained intact, a testament to the strength of Miyamoto's initial vision and the development team's flawless execution. The genesis of Mario Kart represents not just the birth of a successful video game franchise, but the creation of an entirely new form of interactive entertainment that would bring joy to millions of players across multiple generations. The development team faced significant technical challenges in bringing their vision to life on the Super Nintendo's limited hardware. The console's 2.68 MHz processor and mere 128 kilobytes of RAM demanded extraordinary optimization to achieve smooth racing with multiple characters, items, and environmental effects. Every animation frame, every sound effect, and every line of code required meticulous consideration to fit within these constraints, while maintaining the fluid 60 frames per second gameplay that would become Mario Kart's hallmark. Creating the game's iconic power-up system presented both design and technical hurdles that would define the series' identity. The team wanted items that felt natural within the Mario universe, while serving specific gameplay functions. The Super Mushroom provided a logical speed boost, drawing from its power-up heritage in platforming games. The Superstar's temporary invincibility offered a familiar escape mechanism that players already understood instinctively. The Koopa Shell, perhaps the most ingenious addition, transformed an enemy from the platforming games into a projectile weapon that could seek out targets with devastating precision. The infamous spiny shell, though not introduced until later entries, had its conceptual origins in these early discussions about balancing competition and fairness. The development team grappled with how to prevent skilled players from dominating races so completely that newcomers would abandon the experience in frustration. Their solution involved rubber band, artificial intelligence, and strategic item distribution. Controversial decisions that sparked debates continuing to this day about competitive integrity versus inclusive fun. Battle mode emerged as an unexpected masterpiece during development, transforming the racing engine into an arena combat system that felt entirely natural. The team created 4 unique arenas, each designed to showcase different aspects of the power-up combat system. Block Fort's multi-level design encouraged vertical strategy, while Skyscraper's narrow platforms demanded precision movement. These battle arenas would prove so compelling that many players spent more time in combat than racing, establishing a parallel competitive scene that persists across every subsequent Mario Kart release. The original character roster of 8 racers represented careful consideration of personality, gameplay, balance, and technical limitations. Mario and Luigi offered familiar protagonists with balanced statistics, appealing to players seeking reliable performance without extreme strengths or weaknesses. Princess Peach and Yoshi provided alternative balanced options with subtle differences in handling characteristics Bowser and Donkey Kong Jr. represented the heavyweight class, trading acceleration for raw top speed and the ability to knock smaller racers aside. Koopa, Troopa, and Toad filled the lightweight category, offering superior acceleration and handling at the cost of maximum velocity and physical presence. Each character's unique voice samples and animations required precious cartridge space. Yet the development team recognized these personality touches as essential to the game's emotional appeal. Bowser's menacing growl, Peach's cheerful encouragement, and Mario's enthusiastic exclamations transformed anonymous racing into character-driven competition. These audio cues provided crucial feedback about race, position, and item usage while reinforcing each character's distinct personality. The track design philosophy established in Super Mario Kart would influence racing game development for decades to come. Rather than pursuing realistic recreations of existing racetracks, the design team embraced fantastical locations that could only exist in the Mario universe. Mario Circuit introduced anti-gravity elements that would not be fully realized until decades later, while Ghost Valley's ethereal atmosphere and disappearing barriers created tension unique to the medium. Rainbow Road, the game's crown jewel, presented a cosmic highway that captured imaginations and established the series' tradition of spectacular finale tracks. Musical composition played a crucial role in establishing Mario Kart's distinctive atmosphere, with legendary Nintendo composer Soyo Oka creating melodies that perfectly captured each track's personality. The upbeat energy of Mario Circuit, the mysterious ambiance of Ghost Valley, and the ethereal beauty of Rainbow Road demonstrated how music could enhance gameplay experience beyond mere background accompaniment. These compositions became so iconic that they would be remixed, referenced, and celebrated throughout the series' history. The game's sound design extended beyond music to create an immersive audio landscape that provided essential gameplay feedback. The distinct sound of coins being collected, the warning chirp of an incoming shell, and the satisfying whoosh of a successful power slide all served crucial functional purposes while contributing to the game's personality. The development team understood that audio cues could convey information faster than visual indicators, making skilled play more intuitive and accessible. Super Mario Kart's reception upon its August 1992 release exceeded all expectations, selling over 8 million copies worldwide and establishing Mario Kart as one of Nintendo's premier franchises. Critics praised its accessibility, creativity, and technical achievement, while players embraced its perfect balance of skill and chance. The game's success validated Nintendo's philosophy that emotional engagement could triumph over technical complexity, a lesson that would guide the company's approach to game design for generations. The cultural impact extended far beyond sales figures, as Mario Kart introduced millions of players to the joy of local multiplayer gaming. The split-screen racing and battle modes created shared experiences that brought families and friends together around television sets worldwide. These social connections transformed Mario Kart from a mere video game into a cultural phenomenon, establishing traditions and memories that would be passed down through generations of players. The technical innovations pioneered in Super Mario Kart influenced racing game development across the industry, demonstrating that personality and accessibility could coexist with sophisticated gameplay systems. The game's approach to artificial intelligence, item balance, and track design became templates studied and emulated by developers worldwide. Even today, game designers reference Super Mario Kart's solutions to fundamental problems of competitive balance and player engagement. Perhaps most importantly, Super Mario Kart established the philosophical foundation that would guide the franchise through decades of evolution. The game demonstrated that the most memorable victories come not from perfect execution, but from dramatic moments of triumph and failure, from last-second reversals of fortune, and from the unpredictable chaos that emerges when skill meets chance. This understanding would prove essential as the series evolved through technological advances and changing player expectations. The legacy of Super Mario Kart extends beyond its direct sequels to influence an entire generation of game designers who grew up with its revolutionary approach to competition and accessibility. The game's lesson that fun should always triumph over complexity, that personality matters more than realism, and that the best multiplayer experiences bring people together rather than drive them apart, continues to resonate throughout the gaming industry. As we embark on this journey through Mario Kart's history, we carry with us the foundational wisdom established in those first thrilling races around Mario Circuit. Wisdom that transformed 8 pixels on a screen into legends that would endure for generations. The transition from Super Mario Kart to Mario Kart 64 represented more than a generational leap in hardware. It marked a fundamental reimagining of what racing games could become in the realm of true three-dimensional space. When development began in 1995, Nintendo's EAD team faced the challenge of translating the beloved Mode 7 pseudo 3D experience into genuine polygonal racing, while preserving the essential spirit that made the original so captivating. The result would establish design principles that continue to influence racing games decades later. The Nintendo 64's more powerful architecture allowed for genuine three-dimensional track design, liberating creators from the flat plane limitations that had constrained the Super Nintendo version. Track designer Tadashi Sugiyama and his team embraced this freedom with infectious enthusiasm, crafting courses that twisted through impossible geometries, soared over massive chasms, and wound through environments that defied conventional racing logic. Wario Stadium's Figure 8 design created spectacular collision opportunities, while Rainbow Road stretched across a cosmic void that had previously existed only in players' imaginations. Perhaps no innovation proved more transformative than the introduction of 4-player split-screen multiplayer, a technical achievement that pushed the Nintendo 64 to its absolute limits. The console's unified RAM architecture made it possible to render 4 simultaneous viewpoints without the memory limitations that plagued competing systems. This capability transformed Mario Kart from a primarily single-player or 2-player experience into the ultimate party game, capable of accommodating entire friend groups in heated competition around a single television screen. The transition from Super Mario Kart to Mario Kart 64 represented more than just a generational hardware upgrade, marking the series' bold leap into true three-dimensional racing environments that would fundamentally reshape the franchise's identity. Released in February 1997, Mario Kart 64 introduced players to a world where depth perception and spatial awareness became crucial elements of competitive racing strategy. The Nintendo 64's powerful graphics capabilities allowed developers to create tracks with genuine elevation changes, sweeping curves that disappeared around distant hills, and multiple racing lines that offered strategic choices previously impossible in the Mode 7 era. The most revolutionary aspect of Mario Kart 64's development centered around its implementation of four-player split-screen multiplayer, transforming the series from a primarily single-player experience with occasional two-player sessions into the definitive party game that would define countless social gatherings for years to come. The engineering challenges involved in maintaining smooth frame rates while rendering four separate viewpoints simultaneously required significant optimization and creative compromises. Character models became simpler, track details were reduced in certain areas, and visual effects were carefully managed to ensure that the gameplay experience remained fluid and responsive even during the most chaotic four-player races. Character physics in Mario Kart 64 underwent substantial refinement, introducing weight classes that meaningfully affected racing performance in ways that extended beyond simple top speed calculations. Heavy characters like Bowser and Donkey Kong could push lighter racers around during collisions, creating opportunities for aggressive driving tactics that added physical strategy to the racing formula. Conversely, lightweight characters such as Toad and Yoshi gained superior acceleration and handling characteristics, allowing skilled players to recover quickly from mistakes and navigate tight corners with precision that their heavier counterparts couldn't match. This weight class system established a rock-paper-scissors dynamic that encouraged players to experiment with different characters based on their preferred racing style and the specific challenges presented by individual tracks. The controversial implementation of rubber band artificial intelligence in Mario Kart 64 sparked passionate debates within the gaming community that continue to influence discussions about competitive balance in racing games today. This system dynamically adjusted computer-controlled opponent performance based on the human player's position in the race, ensuring that victories never felt guaranteed and comebacks remained possible until the very final moments of competition. Players leading races would notice CPU opponents gaining seemingly impossible bursts of speed, while those trailing behind found themselves benefiting from more favorable item distributions, and opponents who appeared to struggle with normally simple sections of track. While this system succeeded in maintaining excitement and unpredictability, it also frustrated players who felt that their superior racing skills should guarantee consistent victories. Mario Kart Super Circuit's arrival on the Game Boy Advance in August 2001 marked a fascinating return to the series' two-dimensional roots. Though the development team at Intelligent Systems managed to incorporate numerous lessons learned from the 64-bit generation, the portable hardware limitations required creative solutions that actually enhanced certain aspects of the Mario Kart experience, particularly in terms of track design, complexity, and variety. Super Circuit featured an unprecedented number of racing circuits, combining 20 original courses with enhanced versions of all 16 tracks from the original Super Mario Kart, creating the most comprehensive Mario Kart package ever assembled at that point in the series' history. The single-pack multiplayer functionality introduced in Super Circuit demonstrated Nintendo's commitment to making Mario Kart accessible to as many players as possible, regardless of individual game ownership. Through ingenious programming techniques, the cartridge could temporarily download simplified versions of racing circuits to other Game Boy Advance systems, allowing up to 4 players to compete using only one copy of the game. This feature eliminated the traditional barriers to multiplayer gaming and helped establish Mario Kart as a social experience that could spontaneously emerge whenever compatible hardware was present. Mario Kart Double Dash, released exclusively for the GameCube in November 2003, represented perhaps the most radical departure from established series conventions, introducing a 2-character system that fundamentally altered every aspect of traditional kart racing gameplay. Each vehicle carried both a driver and a passenger, with players able to switch between positions at any time during races to access different character-specific special items and optimize their racing strategy for current track conditions. This innovation created unprecedented depth in character selection, as players needed to consider not just individual character statistics, but also the synergistic relationships between different character pairings and their compatible special items. The special item system in Double Dash created a new layer of strategic depth that rewarded players for understanding character relationships and item interactions. Bowser and Bowser Jr. could unleash devastating Bowser shells that plowed through multiple opponents, while Mario and Luigi wielded powerful fireballs that created temporary hazards on the track surface. The Petey Piranha and King Boo pairing offered the unique ability to receive any special item in the game, providing maximum flexibility at the cost of predictability. These character-specific power-ups encouraged players to experiment with different combinations and develop specialized strategies tailored to specific tracks and competitive situations. The Nintendo DS entry in the Mario Kart series, launched in November 2005, showcased the portable system's unique dual-screen capabilities while introducing mission mode challenges that expanded the franchise beyond pure racing competition. The lower touchscreen served multiple functions throughout the racing experience, displaying crucial information like current race positions, item inventories, and detailed course maps that helped players navigate complex track layouts. Mission mode presented structured challenges that taught advanced racing techniques while providing single-player content that extended far beyond traditional Grand Prix championships, featuring objectives like coin collection challenges, boss battles against oversized enemies, and precision driving tests that demanded mastery of specific gameplay mechanics. Mario Kart Wii's revolutionary motion control implementation, released in April 2008, brought unprecedented accessibility to the franchise while simultaneously introducing one of its most divisive gameplay additions through the inclusion of motorcycles alongside traditional karts. The bundled Wii Wheel peripheral transformed living rooms into racing environments where players could steer by turning their entire bodies, creating an intuitive control method that eliminated the learning curve typically associated with traditional button-based racing controls. This accessibility feature opened Mario Kart to demographics that had never previously engaged with video games, contributing to the title's massive commercial success and cultural penetration. The motorcycle versus kart dynamic in Mario Kart Wii introduced strategic considerations that extended beyond simple vehicle preference, as bikes offered superior handling and drift capabilities at the cost of defensive vulnerability and reduced stability. Skilled players could execute wheelies on motorcycles to gain temporary speed boosts, adding a risk-reward timing element to optimal racing strategies. However, bikes couldn't defend against incoming shells as effectively as karts, creating tactical decisions about when to prioritize offensive speed versus defensive positioning. This vehicle choice significantly impacted competitive play, with high-level tournaments often featuring lengthy debates about optimal vehicle selection for specific tracks and racing situations. Mario Kart 7's debut on the Nintendo 3DS in December 2011 expanded the franchise's environmental variety through the introduction of underwater racing sections and gliding segments that transformed track design possibilities. These new mechanics required completely revised physics engines and control schemes, as underwater sections featured altered momentum and turning characteristics, while gliding sequences demanded careful management of altitude and approach angles. The stereoscopic 3D display capabilities enhanced depth perception during these new gameplay segments, making it easier for players to judge distances and positioning during complex aerial maneuvers and underwater navigation challenges. The customization system introduced in Mario Kart 7 allowed players to create personalized vehicle configurations by combining different kart bodies, wheels, and gliders, each component affecting statistical performance in areas like speed, acceleration, weight, handling, and drift characteristics. This system encouraged experimentation and optimization, as players could tailor their vehicles to complement their preferred racing styles or adapt to the specific demands of individual tracks. The mathematical complexity underlying these customization options created opportunities for dedicated players to discover optimal combinations through extensive testing and statistical analysis. Mario Kart 8's anti-gravity concept launched for Wii U in May 2014, represented the franchise's most ambitious attempt to revolutionize track design since the original transition to 3 dimensions. The anti-gravity sections allowed racers to drive on walls and ceilings, creating impossible Mobius strip circuits that challenged traditional spatial reasoning and opened entirely new possibilities for track architects. These sections transformed collisions from purely negative experiences into potential strategic advantages, as bumping into opponents or environmental elements during anti-gravity segments provided speed boosts that rewarded aggressive driving and close racing positioning. The HD visual presentation in Mario Kart 8 elevated the series' aesthetic appeal to unprecedented levels, showcasing intricate track details and environmental storytelling that had been impossible on previous hardware generations. Every circuit featured carefully crafted background elements that suggested larger interconnected worlds, from the bustling airport terminals of Sunshine Airport to the cosmic grandeur of the enhanced Rainbow Road. The visual fidelity allowed for subtle environmental cues that aided navigation while creating immersive racing environments that felt like living, breathing locations rather than simple competitive arenas. Mario Kart Tour's controversial mobile adaptation, launched in September 2019, brought the franchise to smartphones through a free-to-play model that fundamentally altered the traditional Mario Kart progression and monetization structure. The game featured simplified one-handed controls optimized for touchscreen devices, though this accessibility came at the cost of the precise handling and strategic depth that characterized previous entries. The gacha system for unlocking characters and kart parts generated significant debate within the community, as random chance replaced skill-based progression in determining access to competitive content. The constant content updates in Mario Kart Tour created a live service environment where new tracks, characters, and special events appeared regularly, maintaining player engagement through limited time challenges and exclusive rewards. This approach demonstrated Nintendo's willingness to experiment with alternative business models while adapting beloved franchises to contemporary gaming trends. However, the mobile platform's limitations and monetization requirements resulted in gameplay experiences that often felt simplified compared to console iterations, highlighting the challenges involved in translating complex gaming experiences to different hardware platforms and audience expectations. The expanded roster grew from 8 to 16 characters, introducing fan favorites like Wario and Donkey Kong, while adding character variations that would become series staples. The decision to include multiple versions of Mario, Luigi, and other core characters sparked debates that continue today about roster diversity versus character representation. However, these choices reflected careful consideration of player preferences observed during the original game's lifespan, where certain characters proved overwhelmingly popular, while others remained largely unused. Track design philosophy evolved dramatically with the move to 3 dimensions, as designers discovered they could create racing lines that encouraged strategic thinking and risk-taking behavior. Shortcuts became integral to track identity rather than mere hidden bonuses, with paths like the notorious jump in Rainbow Road requiring precise timing and considerable courage to execute successfully. These alternate routes rewarded skilled players while maintaining accessibility for newcomers who could simply follow the obvious path. The artificial intelligence system underwent substantial revision to accommodate the more complex, three-dimensional racing environment, while addressing player complaints about fairness from the original game. The infamous rubber band effect, where computer-controlled racers would mysteriously gain speed when trailing behind, became more sophisticated but also more controversial. Nintendo's intention was to maintain competitive tension throughout each race, ensuring that no player would find themselves hopelessly behind or uncatchably ahead. But many skilled players felt this system undermined their achievements. Technical optimization reached extraordinary levels as the development team struggled to maintain consistent frame rates with 4 simultaneous players, detailed three-dimensional environments, and complex particle effects for items and environmental hazards. The game's ability to run smoothly, even during chaotic moments with multiple power-ups active simultaneously, represented a masterclass in resource management and creative problem-solving under hardware constraints. The introduction of handling statistics created new layers of strategic depth as different character weights affected not just speed and acceleration, but also collision physics and item vulnerability. Heavyweight characters like Bowser could knock lighter opponents off course, but struggled with tight corner navigation, while featherweight racers like Toad could navigate complex track sections with ease, but risked being overwhelmed by heavier competition. These physics interactions added emergent gameplay elements that kept matches unpredictable and engaging. Audio design reached new heights with the Nintendo 64's enhanced sound capabilities, as composer Kenta Nagata crafted memorable themes that perfectly captured each track's personality. The haunting melody of Luigi Raceway, the industrial percussion of Wario Stadium, and the ethereal beauty of Rainbow Road demonstrated how music could enhance emotional connection to virtual environments. The improved sound effects provided crucial audio feedback for power-ups, collisions, and environmental hazards, while maintaining the playful character that distinguished Mario Kart from more serious racing simulations. Battle mode received significant expansion with new arenas designed specifically to showcase three-dimensional combat possibilities. Blockfort's multi-level architecture encouraged vertical strategy, while Skyscraper's narrow platforms demanded precision movement and tactical positioning. The addition of Big Donut created a completely different dynamic with its circular design and central pit, forcing players to constantly move and adapt their strategies. These varied environments proved that the Mario Kart formula could excel beyond traditional racing into pure competitive combat. The game's release in February 1997 met with universal acclaim and commercial success that exceeded even Nintendo's optimistic projections, selling over 9 million copies worldwide and establishing Mario Kart 64 as one of the console's defining experiences. The 4-player multiplayer became legendary among gaming enthusiasts, creating countless memories of heated competition and dramatic last-second victories that would be recounted for decades. However, the series faced new challenges with the transition to portable gaming through Mario Kart Super Circuit on the Game Boy Advance. The technical limitations of handheld hardware required creative solutions to maintain the essential Mario Kart experience, while working within severe constraints on processing power, memory, and display capabilities. The development team at Intelligent Systems approached these challenges with remarkable ingenuity, creating a game that felt authentically Mario Kart despite its obvious technical limitations. Super Circuit's greatest achievement lay in its successful adaptation of the Mario Kart formula to a single-screen handheld device, proving that the series' appeal transcended advanced graphics or sophisticated audio. The game's 20 original tracks demonstrated clever design principles that maximized the Game Boy Advance's capabilities while maintaining the strategic depth and personality that defined the franchise. The inclusion of all 16 tracks from the original Super Mario Kart, enhanced with improved graphics and refined gameplay, created unprecedented value for longtime fans, while introducing newer players to the series' origins. The portable nature of Super Circuit enabled new forms of Mario Kart competition through link cable multiplayer, allowing up to 4 players to race together using separate Game Boy Advance systems. While this required significant investment from player groups, the experience of wireless Mario Kart competition proved transformative for many who participated, creating a glimpse of the connected gaming future that would eventually dominate the industry. The GameCube era brought perhaps the most radical experimentation in Mario Kart history, with Mario Kart Double Dash, a game that dared to fundamentally alter the core mechanics that had defined the series for over a decade. Director Yasuyuki Oyagi and his team at Nintendo EAD decided that simple hardware upgrades were insufficient, instead choosing to reinvent the basic concept of what a Mario Kart racer could be through the revolutionary dual character system. Double Dash's central innovation placed 2 characters on each kart, with players able to switch between driver and passenger roles at will during races. This seemingly simple change created cascading effects throughout every aspect of the game design, from track layouts that accommodated the unique mechanics to entirely new strategic considerations for item usage and racing lines. The front character controlled steering and acceleration, while the rear character managed items and could perform special maneuvers, creating a dynamic that rewarded coordination and quick thinking. The special item system represented Double Dash's most controversial innovation, as each character possessed unique power-ups available only when they occupied the rear position. Mario and Luigi shared the devastating fireball attack. Bowser and Bowser Jr. commanded the massive Bowser shell, and Princess Peach and Daisy wielded the heart item that transformed nearby power-ups into protective barriers. These exclusive items created strategic depth around character selection, while potentially disrupting the carefully balanced chaos that had made previous entries so accessible. Character partnerships became a crucial strategic element, as certain combinations offered synergistic advantages that skilled players could exploit. Pairing characters with complementary special items created opportunities for devastating combo attacks, while mixing weight classes allowed for customized handling characteristics that could suit specific track requirements or player preferences. The complexity of these interactions delighted hardcore enthusiasts, while potentially overwhelming casual players who simply wanted to race as their favorite characters. Track design evolved to accommodate the unique physics and mechanics of the dual character system, with wider racing lines and more complex environmental interactions than previous entries had featured. Baby Park's simple oval became a chaotic battlefield when filled with special items and aggressive AI racers, while Wario Coliseum's extended length provided ample opportunities for dramatic position changes and strategic maneuvering. The tracks felt distinctly different from earlier Mario Kart courses, designed specifically around Double Dash's unique mechanics, rather than simply adapting existing formulas. The GameCube's enhanced processing power enabled visual spectacles that had been impossible on previous hardware, with detailed character animations, complex particle effects, and environmental details that brought the Mario universe to life with unprecedented fidelity. The improved graphics served gameplay as well as aesthetics, making it easier to track multiple characters, items, and environmental hazards during the intense action that Double Dash's mechanics encouraged. Technical innovation extended beyond graphics to include sophisticated AI programming that accounted for the dual character system's complexity. Computer-controlled racers demonstrated strategic thinking in their character switching, item usage, and positioning decisions that created more believable and challenging competition. The rubber band effect remained present, but felt more natural within the context of the game's chaotic mechanics, where dramatic position changes occurred frequently through legitimate gameplay rather than artificial intervention. The critical and commercial reception of Double Dash proved decidedly mixed, with enthusiasts praising its bold innovation, while others felt it strayed too far from the essential Mario Kart formula. Sales figures of approximately 7 million copies represented respectable commercial success, but fell short of the franchise's typical performance, leading to important lessons about the balance between innovation and tradition in beloved series. Fan communities remain divided about Double Dash's legacy, even decades later, with some considering it the most creative and strategically deep entry in the series, while others view it as an interesting experiment that ultimately validated the wisdom of the traditional formula. This ongoing debate reflects the fundamental tension between advancing a franchise through innovation while preserving the essential elements that made it beloved in the first place. The technical achievements across this era established crucial foundations for future entries as developers learned valuable lessons about 3D track design, multiplayer networking, portable optimization, and the delicate balance between accessibility and depth that would guide the series through subsequent hardware generations. The experimental spirit of Double Dash, combined with the solid fundamentals established in Mario Kart 64 and the portable innovation of Super Circuit, created a rich foundation of knowledge and experience that would prove essential as the franchise entered the modern era of online connectivity and motion controls. These formative years demonstrated that Mario Kart's appeal transcended any single gameplay mechanic or technical achievement, residing instead in the fundamental philosophy of creating shared experiences that brought people together through competition, cooperation, and the eternal joy of virtual racing. The lessons learned during this evolutionary period would prove invaluable as Nintendo prepared to revolutionize gaming once again with wireless connectivity and intuitive motion controls that would transform Mario Kart from a beloved franchise into a global cultural phenomenon that would define a generation of gaming experiences. The dawn of the wireless gaming era brought unprecedented opportunities for Mario Kart to fulfill its ultimate destiny as a global competitive phenomenon, transforming from a beloved local multiplayer experience into a worldwide network of racers connected across continents and time zones. The Nintendo DS marked the beginning of this revolutionary period when it launched Mario Kart DS in November 2005, introducing online multiplayer capabilities that would fundamentally reshape not just the franchise, but the entire landscape of portable competitive gaming. Mario Kart DS represented a masterclass in technical achievement as Nintendo's development team successfully implemented full-featured Mario Kart racing on hardware that seemed impossibly limited compared to home console counterparts. The dual-screen design of the Nintendo DS proved ideally suited to racing games, with the top screen displaying the main racing action, while the bottom touchscreen provided a real-time map showing racer positions, upcoming track features, and strategic information that enhanced competitive decision-making without cluttering the primary visual field. The wireless multiplayer functionality represented perhaps the most significant innovation in Mario Kart history since the original game's creation, enabling up to 8 players to compete simultaneously through local wireless connections, or the revolutionary Nintendo Wi-Fi connection service. For the first time in the franchise's history, players could race against opponents from around the world, creating a global community of Mario Kart enthusiasts who could compete, share strategies, and form rivalries that transcended geographical boundaries. The implementation of online rankings and ghost data sharing created entirely new dimensions of competition and community engagement that had been impossible in previous entries. Players could download and race against the best lap times from around the world, learning advanced techniques and strategies from the most skilled competitors while contributing their own achievements to the global database. This system transformed Mario Kart from a purely social, local experience into a persistent, competitive platform where improvement and achievement could be measured against an international standard. Character selection expanded to include 36 different combinations through the innovative emblem system, allowing players to customize their racing experience while maintaining the balanced gameplay that defined the series. Each character retained distinct handling characteristics, while the emblem system provided visual personalization that enabled players to express their individual identities within the global online community. The psychological impact of personalization proved significant as players developed stronger emotional connections to their customized racers and felt more invested in competitive outcomes. Track design reached new levels of sophistication, with 16 original courses that showcased the Nintendo DS's capabilities, while introducing design elements that would influence future entries throughout the series. Figure 8 Circuit demonstrated how traditional racing concepts could be reimagined through creative track layouts, while Peach Gardens introduced environmental hazards and interactive elements that required strategic thinking beyond simple racing lines. The attention to detail in track environments created immersive experiences that felt substantial despite the hardware limitations. The revolutionary Retro Cups marked the first time classic tracks from previous Mario Kart games returned in enhanced forms, establishing a tradition that would become central to the franchise's identity. These carefully selected courses from Super Mario Kart 64, and Mario Kart Super Circuit received visual and mechanical updates that preserved their essential character while adapting them to the DS's unique capabilities. The nostalgic appeal of racing on beloved classic tracks while experiencing modern enhancements created powerful emotional connections that resonated with longtime fans while introducing newer players to the franchise's rich history. Technical optimization in Mario Kart DS reached extraordinary levels, as the development team maximized every aspect of the Nintendo DS hardware to deliver smooth racing experiences with complex visual effects, detailed environments, and sophisticated AI opponents. The game maintained consistent frame rates even during chaotic moments, with multiple items active and 8 racers competing simultaneously, demonstrating programming excellence that became a benchmark for portable racing games across the industry. The success of Mario Kart DS exceeded all projections, selling over 23 million copies worldwide and establishing the Nintendo DS as the definitive portable gaming platform. More importantly, the game proved that handheld devices could support complex multiplayer experiences that rivaled home console offerings, validating Nintendo's strategic vision for the future of gaming and setting the stage for even more ambitious projects. The transition to the Nintendo Wii represented another revolutionary leap as Mario Kart Wii launched in April 2008 with motion control integration that transformed the fundamental nature of Mario Kart interaction. The Wii Remote's motion sensing capabilities enabled intuitive steering through physical movements that felt natural even to players who had never held a traditional gaming controller, dramatically expanding the potential audience for Mario Kart beyond dedicated gaming enthusiasts to include casual players, families, and demographics that had previously found video games intimidating or inaccessible. The inclusion of the Wii Wheel accessory demonstrated Nintendo's commitment to creating tactile experiences that enhanced the illusion of actual driving while maintaining the precision necessary for competitive play. The plastic wheel housing provided comfortable grip positions and improved the accuracy of motion controls while creating a more immersive physical connection between player and game. Advanced players could choose traditional controller options, but the motion controls proved so effective that many competitive players adopted them permanently, validating the design philosophy that accessibility and performance could coexist successfully. Perhaps the most controversial innovation in Mario Kart Wii was the introduction of motorcycles as an alternative vehicle class alongside traditional karts, fundamentally altering the game's physics and strategic dynamics. Motorcycles offered distinct advantages in handling and acceleration, while providing the ability to perform wheelies for extended speed boosts, creating new tactical considerations for track navigation and competitive positioning. The balance between karts and motorcycles sparked extensive debate within the community, as each vehicle type excelled in different racing situations and required adapted strategies for optimal performance. The wheelie mechanic added layers of risk and reward calculation that elevated the skill ceiling, while remaining accessible to casual players who could simply enjoy the visual spectacle of their characters performing dramatic stunts. Skilled players learned to time wheelies for maximum speed advantage while maintaining control through complex track sections, creating emergent gameplay moments that felt both strategic and spectacular. The mechanic also introduced vulnerability during wheelie performance, as players became susceptible to item attacks and collision disruption, forcing constant tactical decisions about when to pursue speed advantages versus maintaining defensive positioning. Online functionality through Nintendo Wi-Fi connection reached new levels of sophistication, with Mario Kart Wii supporting 12 players in simultaneous competition through refined netcode that minimized lag and maintained stable connections across diverse internet configurations. The expanded player count created more dynamic and unpredictable races where position changes occurred frequently and dramatic comeback victories became more common, enhancing the excitement and replayability that defined the Mario Kart experience. The ranking system implemented in Mario Kart Wii synergy between console and mobile gaming through the ambitious Booster Course Pass DLC strategy that brought smartphone tracks to the high-definition Mario Kart 8 Deluxe experience. This collaboration represented Nintendo's most successful attempt at creating meaningful connections between their mobile and console offerings, while demonstrating how different platforms could complement rather than compete with each other. The mobile tracks required careful adaptation to maintain the quality standards expected from console Mario Kart experiences. The Booster Course Pass development process unfolded over nearly 2 years, as Nintendo delivered 48 additional tracks through 6 waves of content that doubled the game's racing variety while maintaining consistent quality standards. Each wave brought renewed interest and community engagement as players discovered how mobile tracks had been enhanced and adapted for console play. The track selection balanced nostalgic favorites from throughout the series' history with contemporary additions from Mario Kart Tour, creating a comprehensive celebration of the franchise's evolution. Wave releases created sustained community excitement and discussion as players analyzed new track layouts, discovered hidden details, and adapted their strategies to accommodate different design philosophies represented across the expanded track roster. The staggered release schedule maintained interest over an extended period while giving players time to fully explore and appreciate each edition before new content arrived. This approach proved more effective than single large content drops at generating ongoing engagement and community conversation. The integration of mobile tracks required significant technical and design work to maintain the visual and gameplay standards expected from console Mario Kart experiences, while preserving the essential character that made each track memorable on its original platform. Coconut Mall's transformation from a static shopping environment to a dynamic obstacle course demonstrated the development team's commitment to enhancement rather than mere porting, while tracks like Sky High Sundae showcased how mobile design concepts could be elevated through console presentation capabilities. Community reception of the Booster Course Pass reflected the ongoing tension between nostalgia and innovation that had characterized Mario Kart discussions throughout the series' history, with some players embracing the expanded variety, while others expressed concerns about visual consistency and design philosophy differences between console-native and adapted mobile tracks. These debates highlighted the passionate investment that players maintained in Mario Kart's creative direction, while demonstrating the challenge of satisfying diverse community preferences within a single product. The cultural phenomenon surrounding Mario Kart 8 Deluxe extended into mainstream media through viral social media moments, celebrity endorsements, and integration into popular culture references that reached audiences far beyond dedicated gaming communities. The game's accessibility and visual appeal made it ideal for content creation, while the competitive elements provided dramatic moments suitable for entertainment media. Late-night talk show appearances and celebrity tournaments validated Mario Kart's status as universal entertainment rather than niche gaming content. Esports development around Mario Kart 8 Deluxe faced unique challenges due to the series' emphasis on accessible fun over pure competitive depth. Yet, dedicated communities emerged that celebrated both casual tournaments and highly skilled competition. The balance between random elements and skill-based gameplay created viewing experiences that remained entertaining for general audiences while providing sufficient strategic depth to reward dedicated practice and study. Professional tournaments demonstrated that Mario Kart could support meaningful competitive scenes without abandoning its inclusive philosophy. The educational and therapeutic applications of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe surprised many observers, as the game found uses in motor skill rehabilitation, intergenerational bonding programs, and educational settings where its engaging mechanics could motivate participation in activities that might otherwise feel tedious or clinical. The game's positive emotional associations and intuitive controls made it effective for situations requiring stress reduction and social interaction, validating video games as tools for wellness and education rather than mere entertainment. Accessibility advocacy within the Mario Kart community highlighted both the progress represented by smart steering and auto accelerate, while identifying additional areas where future improvements could expand participation even further. The conversation around inclusive design influenced broader gaming industry discussions about accessibility, implementation, and the importance of considering diverse player needs during development rather than treating accommodation as afterthought additions. The longevity of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's success challenged conventional wisdom about game life cycles and the necessity of frequent sequels, demonstrating that exceptional quality combined with ongoing content support could maintain relevance and sales performance over extended periods. The game's sustained popularity influenced Nintendo's approach to other franchises while validating the strategy of creating definitive versions rather than iterating frequently on successful formulas. The technical foundation established through Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's development provided crucial infrastructure for future Nintendo projects, while demonstrating the Switch platform's capabilities to both consumers and developers throughout the industry. The game's success contributed to the Switch's overall market dominance, while establishing Mario Kart as the system's flagship multiplayer experience that showcased the unique advantages of Nintendo's hybrid gaming concept. The global community that emerged around Mario Kart 8 Deluxe transcended traditional gaming demographics to include players across age groups, cultural backgrounds, and gaming experience levels, creating shared experiences and common references that facilitated social connections in diverse contexts. The game's role in bringing people together during challenging global circumstances demonstrated the positive social impact that thoughtfully designed entertainment could provide when accessibility and quality converged. Successfully, the legacy of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe established new benchmarks for what enhanced ports could achieve, while proving that the right game on the right platform at the right time could transcend its origins to become a defining cultural experience for an entire generation of players, setting the stage for even greater ambitions as Nintendo prepared to continue this extraordinary franchise's evolution into an uncertain but promising future. The hidden depths of Mario Kart's development history reveal countless untold stories of creative inspiration, technical wizardry, and passionate dedication that transformed simple racing concepts into beloved cultural experiences. Behind every perfectly balanced power-up, every memorable track melody, and every satisfying drift lies a complex web of design decisions, artistic compromises, and innovative solutions that showcase the extraordinary craft required to create games that feel effortless to play while containing layers of sophisticated engineering invisible to most players. The architectural philosophy underlying Mario Kart track design operates on principles that extend far beyond simple racing circuits, incorporating subtle psychological elements that guide player behavior while creating emotional responses to virtual environments. Master track designers like Tadashi Sugiyama developed sophisticated techniques for controlling racing flow through careful placement of visual landmarks, elevation changes, and corner angles that feel natural, while encouraging specific racing lines and strategic decisions. These invisible hands guide players through experiences that feel spontaneous while following carefully orchestrated dramatic structures. Rainbow Road tracks across the series demonstrate remarkable consistency in their ability to evoke wonder and challenge through architectural impossibility, yet each entry achieves these effects through entirely different design approaches that reflect the unique capabilities and constraints of their respective hardware platforms. The original Super Nintendo version created cosmic grandeur through Mode 7 scaling effects and careful sprite placement, while Mario Kart 64's polygonal interpretation emphasized vast scale and treacherous gaps that challenged player courage alongside their racing skills. The musical architecture of Mario Kart compositions reveals deep structural relationships between melody, rhythm, and gameplay pacing that enhance competitive tension while remaining memorable enough to inspire decades of nostalgic recognition. Composer Soyo Oka's pioneering work on the original Super Mario Kart established melodic themes and rhythmic patterns that would be quoted referenced, and reimagined throughout the series' evolution, creating musical continuity that reinforced the franchise's identity across technological generations and creative teams. Kenta Nagata's revolutionary approach to dynamic music composition in Mario Kart 64 introduced adaptive systems that responded to race position, lap progression, and dramatic moments to heighten emotional investment in competitive outcomes. The technique of seamlessly transitioning between musical variations based on gameplay context would influence racing game audio design throughout the industry, while establishing expectations for environmental storytelling through musical narrative that extended far beyond simple background accompaniment. The development of character personality systems required extensive behavioral analysis and animation planning to ensure that each racer felt distinctly individual, despite sharing fundamental racing mechanics and statistical frameworks. Character designers invested considerable effort in creating unique victory celebrations, idle animations, and reaction expressions that would reinforce player emotional connections while providing functional feedback about race progression and competitive standing through visual cues that complemented audio and interface information. Hidden details embedded within track environments demonstrate the extraordinary attention to craftsmanship that distinguished Nintendo's development culture, with environmental storytelling elements that reward careful observation while enhancing the believability of fantastical racing locations. Super Bell Subway contains subtle references to other tracks within the game through poster advertisements and route maps, suggesting a connected Mario Kart universe where racing circuits exist within a cohesive transportation network that serves the broader Mushroom Kingdom population. The technical implementation of item probability systems involves sophisticated algorithms that consider race position, lap timing, player skill metrics, and historical performance data to create distributions that feel fair while maintaining competitive excitement through strategic unpredictability. These systems operate invisibly during gameplay while influencing dramatic pacing and comeback potential through carefully calibrated randomness that rewards skill while preventing dominant players from establishing unassailable advantages that would discourage continued participation from less experienced competitors. Development team anecdotes reveal the passionate debates and creative disagreements that shaped fundamental Mario Kart design philosophy, particularly regarding the eternal tension between competitive depth and accessible fun that defines the series' unique market position. Shigeru Miyamoto's insistence on prioritizing enjoyment over pure skill expression influenced countless design decisions while creating ongoing challenges for developers who needed to satisfy both casual players seeking entertainment and dedicated enthusiasts pursuing mastery and achievement. The creation of battle mode arenas required entirely different design principles from racing tracks, emphasizing strategic positioning, defensive options, and tactical movement patterns that encouraged active combat while preventing camping strategies that could undermine the aggressive action that made battles exciting. Arena designers developed sophisticated sightline analysis and weapon trajectory planning to ensure that skilled players could find advantages through positioning while maintaining enough chaos and unpredictability to keep matches engaging for participants across skill ranges. Cut content and alternate versions discovered in game data files provide fascinating glimpses into creative processes and abandoned concepts that might have dramatically altered Mario Kart's development trajectory, including experimental track layouts, unused character concepts, and prototype item designs that reveal the extensive iteration and refinement required to achieve the polished experiences that players ultimately encountered. The inclusion of Chemex's emblem data in Mario Kart 8's files years before his eventual appearance demonstrated the long-term planning and character consideration that guided roster decisions. International localization efforts required careful cultural adaptation of visual elements, audio cues, and gameplay mechanics to ensure that Mario Kart's appeal transcended regional boundaries while respecting local preferences and avoiding potentially offensive or confusing content. The process involved extensive testing with diverse player groups to identify elements that might not translate effectively across cultural contexts, while maintaining the universal accessibility that made Mario Kart successful in global markets. Technical optimization techniques employed throughout the series demonstrate remarkable ingenuity in maximizing limited hardware resources while maintaining consistent performance standards that prioritized smooth gameplay over visual spectacle when compromises became necessary. Programming teams developed innovative compression algorithms, memory management systems, and rendering shortcuts that enabled complex racing scenarios to run smoothly on hardware that seemed inadequate for such sophisticated real-time simulations. The philosophy of difficulty balancing evolved significantly across entries as development teams gathered extensive player data and community feedback to understand how different design decisions affected enjoyment and retention across diverse player populations. The controversial rubber band AI systems emerged from genuine concerns about player frustration and abandonment, yet their implementation sparked ongoing debates about competitive integrity that influenced design philosophy discussions throughout the gaming industry. Easter egg placement and hidden reference integration required careful consideration of player discovery patterns and exploration incentives to reward attentive players while avoiding disruption of core racing experiences for those focused primarily on competitive performance. The inclusion of Totaka's song in various forms throughout the series demonstrated how audio Easter eggs could create connections for dedicated fans while remaining invisible to players who were not actively seeking hidden content. Community interaction and developer response mechanisms evolved dramatically with the advent of internet connectivity, enabling development teams to gather real-time feedback about balance issues, technical problems, and feature requests that influenced ongoing updates and future design decisions. The transparency of this communication created stronger relationships between developers and players, while establishing expectations for ongoing support and community engagement that shaped development resource allocation and post-launch planning priorities. The art direction process involved extensive conceptual exploration and visual experimentation to establish the distinctive aesthetic identity that distinguished each Mario Kart entry while maintaining consistency with broader Mario. Universe design, languages, and character representations. Environmental artists developed sophisticated techniques for creating fantastical locations that felt believable within the Mario universe, while incorporating functional design elements that supported racing gameplay without compromising visual coherence or artistic vision. Animation systems required careful coordination between character movement, vehicle physics, and environmental interactions to create believable motion that enhanced player connection to their chosen racers while providing essential feedback about racing state, item effects, and collision consequences. The subtle personality touches embedded in character animations served dual purposes of entertainment and functional communication, helping players understand race dynamics through visual cues that complemented direct interface information. Quality assurance processes involved extensive play testing across diverse hardware configurations, control schemes, and player skill levels to identify potential problems before release, while gathering data about optimal difficulty curves, item balance parameters, and track design effectiveness. The commitment to thorough testing reflected Nintendo's dedication to releasing polished experiences that would maintain their reputation for quality while avoiding the technical problems that could undermine player confidence and community growth. The creative philosophy underlying Mario Kart development emphasized collaboration between programmers, artists, designers, and musicians to create unified experiences where technical innovation served artistic vision while maintaining the playful accessibility that defined Nintendo's approach to entertainment software. This integrated development culture fostered the innovative solutions and creative risk-taking that distinguished Mario Kart from more conventional racing games that prioritized either simulation, accuracy, or pure arcade action without attempting to balance multiple design goals simultaneously. The legacy of behind-the-scenes craftsmanship, established through decades of Mario Kart development, created institutional knowledge and cultural practices that influenced Nintendo's approach to game development across multiple franchises while establishing benchmarks for quality, innovation, and player consideration that shaped industry expectations and competitive standards throughout the gaming market, ensuring that the invisible artistry behind Mario Kart's success would continue inspiring future generations of developers and creators. The evolution of Mario Kart as a competitive esports phenomenon represents one of the most fascinating developments in modern gaming culture, transforming a franchise designed primarily for accessible family entertainment into a sophisticated competitive arena that attracts dedicated athletes, strategic analysts, and passionate spectators from around the world. This transformation occurred gradually through grassroots community organizing rather than top-down corporate initiative, reflecting the organic competitive potential that had existed within Mario Kart's design framework since its earliest iterations. Professional Mario Kart competition emerged from local tournament scenes that developed independently across different regions, with each community establishing unique rule sets, format preferences, and strategic metagames that reflected local player populations and cultural approaches to competitive gaming. The decentralized nature of this growth created diverse, competitive ecosystems that eventually merged into broader international scenes through online connectivity and tournament streaming platforms that enabled global participation and spectatorship. The challenge of establishing standardized competitive formats for Mario Kart required careful consideration of the series' inherent tension between skill expression and controlled randomness, leading to extensive community debates about item settings, track selection criteria, and scoring systems that would reward consistent excellence while preserving the dramatic comeback potential that made Mario Kart entertaining for spectators. These discussions revealed fundamental philosophical differences about the nature of competition and the role of chance elements in determining legitimate victories. World Championship tournaments demonstrated Mario Kart's viability as a spectator sport, while highlighting the remarkable strategic depth that emerged from seemingly simple racing mechanics when analyzed and optimized by dedicated competitors. Professional players developed sophisticated understanding of racing line optimization, item usage timing, defensive positioning strategies, and psychological pressure tactics that transformed casual racing into complex, multi-layered competition, requiring extensive practice and study to master effectively. The speedrunning community surrounding Mario Kart created entirely separate competitive scenes focused on individual achievement rather than direct player confrontation, with categories ranging from single-track optimization to complete game completion under various restriction parameters. These solo competitions fostered innovative technique development and routing discoveries that influenced broader competitive understanding, while providing achievement pathways for players who preferred personal improvement goals over interpersonal conflict. Time trial leaderboards evolved into sophisticated competitive platforms where players could compete asynchronously against global opposition through ghost data sharing systems that enabled detailed performance analysis and technique refinement without requiring simultaneous participation. The psychological dynamics of time trial competition created unique motivational structures where players competed against abstract representations of superior performance rather than present opponent, fostering different types of competitive drive and achievement satisfaction. Community-generated content creation flourished around competitive Mario Kart through detailed strategy guides, technique tutorials, analytical commentary videos, and entertaining highlight compilations that served both educational and entertainment functions for growing audiences of competitive enthusiasts. Content creators became influential figures within the community ecosystem, shaping metagame development and technique dissemination, while building personal brands around their Mario Kart expertise and personality presentation. The development of advanced techniques like snaking, fire hopping, and ultra mini turbo optimization revealed how dedicated players could discover unintended mechanical interactions that provided competitive advantages, creating ongoing tensions between developers who sought to maintain intended balance and communities that celebrated skillful exploitation of complex systems. These technique discoveries often led to heated debates about competitive legitimacy and the appropriate response to emergent gameplay elements. International tournament organization required careful consideration of regional differences in competitive culture, preferred game versions, and rule set standards, while navigating technical challenges related to online tournament infrastructure and fair competition across diverse connection qualities. Major tournaments like Mario Kart World Championships brought together top players from different regions while showcasing the global appeal and competitive depth of the franchise to broader gaming audiences. The psychology of Mario Kart competition involves unique mental challenges related to managing frustration from randomized setbacks, while maintaining competitive focus and strategic thinking under pressure from both opponents' unpredictable item distributions. Successful competitive players developed sophisticated mental frameworks for processing bad luck while capitalizing on favorable situations, skills that translated into broader life applications beyond gaming contexts. Streaming culture surrounding competitive Mario Kart created new forms of community interaction where viewers could engage directly with competitive players through chat participation, strategic discussion, and emotional investment in competitive outcomes. These streaming relationships fostered stronger connections between competitive performers and their audiences, while providing educational opportunities for aspiring competitors to learn advanced techniques and strategic thinking approaches. The debate over items on versus items off competition reflected broader philosophical tensions within the Mario Kart community about the appropriate balance between skill expression and entertainment value, with purists arguing for elimination of random elements, while others maintained that item management represented a crucial skill component that distinguished Mario Kart from other racing competitions. These discussions influenced tournament format decisions while revealing diverse perspectives on competitive authenticity. Professional team formation and sponsorship development demonstrated Mario Kart's growing commercial viability as an esports property, with organizations investing in player development, training facilities, and competitive infrastructure to support sustained excellence in major tournaments. The emergence of coaching staff, analytical support, and strategic preparation protocols showed how seriously competitive Mario Kart was being treated by professional esports organizations seeking to maximize competitive potential. Regional metagame differences created fascinating strategic diversity across international competitive scenes, with different communities developing preferences for specific characters, track strategies, and item usage patterns that reflected local competitive cultures and player population characteristics. These regional variations enriched global competition by introducing strategic surprises and forcing adaptation from players accustomed to different competitive environments. The role of commentary and broadcast production in competitive Mario Kart required specialized knowledge and presentation skills to make complex strategic elements accessible to general audiences, while maintaining engagement during longer tournament formats. Skilled commentators became crucial ambassadors for competitive Mario Kart culture, translating high-level play into entertaining and educational experiences for viewers new to competitive racing games. Community governance structures developed organically to address disputes, maintain competitive integrity, and establish standards for tournament conduct that balanced competitive fairness with community accessibility and growth. These grassroots organizational efforts demonstrated the dedication and maturity of competitive Mario Kart communities while providing models for competitive organization that influenced broader esports development practices. The integration of data analysis and statistical tracking into competitive Mario Kart revealed sophisticated patterns in player performance, track-specific advantages, and strategic effectiveness that enabled evidence-based approach to competitive improvement and metagame development. Statistical analysis tools developed by community members provided insights into competitive dynamics that would have been impossible to discern through casual observation alone. Educational initiatives within competitive communities focused on technique instruction, strategic concept explanation, and competitive mindset development to lower barriers for entry, while raising overall competitive standards through widespread knowledge dissemination. These educational efforts reflected the welcoming culture that distinguished Mario Kart competitive scenes from more exclusive or intimidating esports environments. The relationship between casual and competitive Mario Kart communities remained generally positive despite occasional tensions over game design priorities and competitive legitimacy, with many players participating in both contexts depending on their mood and available time commitments. This flexibility allowed for natural progression pathways from casual enjoyment to competitive involvement, while maintaining the inclusive accessibility that defined Mario Kart's broader appeal. Legacy competitive figures within Mario Kart communities became respected ambassadors for the scene while providing historical continuity and institutional knowledge that guided community development through changing technological and competitive landscapes. These veteran players served mentorship roles while maintaining competitive relevance that demonstrated the longevity potential for dedicated Mario Kart athletes. The cultural impact of competitive Mario Kart extended beyond direct participants to influence broader gaming culture through demonstration that accessible family games could support sophisticated competitive scenes without abandoning their fundamental accessibility and entertainment value. This example challenged conventional wisdom about esports viability, while providing inspiration for competitive development around other Nintendo franchises and accessible gaming properties. The future trajectory of competitive Mario Kart faces ongoing challenges related to maintaining community growth, securing sustainable financial support, and balancing competitive integrity with the accessible entertainment value that attracted participants initially, yet the passionate dedication of existing communities and the continued popularity of the franchise provide strong foundations for sustained competitive development and cultural influence that will likely extend far beyond current technological and organizational limitations. The technological evolution of Mario Kart across multiple hardware generations represents a masterclass in adaptive engineering, where development teams consistently pushed the boundaries of what seemed possible on constrained systems, while maintaining the smooth, responsive gameplay that defined the franchise's essential character. Each new platform brought unique challenges and opportunities that demanded innovative solutions, creative compromises, and technical wizardry that often influenced game development practices far beyond the racing genre. Engine development across the series demonstrates remarkable consistency in core objectives, despite radical changes in underlying hardware architectures, with each iteration prioritizing frame rate stability above visual spectacle, while incorporating new capabilities that enhanced rather than replaced fundamental racing mechanics. The transition from Mode 7 pseudo 3D to true polygonal rendering required complete reconstruction of physics systems, collision detection algorithms, and rendering pipelines, while preserving the precise handling characteristics that players had learned to expect from Mario Kart competition. Physics system evolution showcased increasingly sophisticated approaches to vehicle dynamics that balanced realistic behavior with the fantastical elements that distinguished Mario Kart from simulation-focused racing games. The original Super Mario Kart's relatively simple physics model provided adequate foundation for Mode 7 racing, but the transition to three-dimensional environments required complex mathematical models that could handle variable gravity orientations, dynamic track surfaces, and collision interactions between multiple racers simultaneously. The tire mechanics introduced in Mario Kart 7 represented a significant advancement in customization depth, while maintaining accessibility for casual players who preferred not to engage with statistical optimization. The system provided meaningful performance differences between tire types, while ensuring that no single combination dominated all racing scenarios, encouraging experimentation and strategic thinking without punishing players who chose based on aesthetic preferences rather than competitive optimization. Artificial intelligence programming faced escalating complexity challenges as track designs became more sophisticated and racing scenarios grew more dynamic, requiring AI opponents that could navigate three-dimensional courses, respond appropriately to item attacks, and maintain competitive positioning without appearing obviously scripted or predictable. The rubber band effect controversy stemmed partly from the difficulty of programming AI that could provide consistent challenge across diverse player skill levels without resorting to artificial performance adjustments. The development of personality-based AI behaviors created distinctive racing characteristics for different computer-controlled characters that went beyond simple statistical variations to include driving style preferences, item usage patterns, and strategic decision-making tendencies that made races feel more dynamic and unpredictable. These behavioral systems required extensive testing and refinement to ensure that AI personalities remained recognizable while avoiding exploitable patterns that skilled players could abuse for easy victories. Network infrastructure evolution from local wireless connections to global internet-based multiplayer required fundamental changes in game architecture to accommodate latency, compensation, connection stability variations, and synchronized game state management across geographically distributed players. The technical challenges of maintaining fair competition across diverse network conditions led to sophisticated prediction algorithms and rollback networking systems that preserved responsive controls while ensuring consistent race outcomes. Online stability improvements across successive entries reflected accumulated expertise in network programming and infrastructure management, with each game learning from previous technical problems while incorporating new solutions for emerging connectivity challenges. The progression from Mario Kart DS's pioneering but limited online functionality to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's robust global matchmaking demonstrated how persistent technical refinement could transform experimental features into reliable core systems. Visual effects systems evolved from simple sprite-based particle displays to complex shader-driven rendering that could simulate realistic lighting, environmental atmosphere, and dynamic weather conditions, while maintaining the stylized aesthetic that distinguished Mario Kart from photorealistic racing simulations. The anti-gravity effects in Mario Kart 8 required particularly sophisticated rendering techniques to create convincing transitions between different spatial orientations without disorienting players or compromising racing clarity. Particle system optimization became crucial as visual complexity increased, requiring efficient algorithms that could handle hundreds of simultaneous effects during chaotic racing moments without impacting frame rate, stability, or control responsiveness. The technical challenge of rendering multiple racers with active items, environmental hazards, and visual feedback systems simultaneously pushed hardware capabilities while demanding innovative memory management and processing prioritization strategies. Audio design technology advanced from simple sample playback to dynamic mixing systems that could adapt music, sound effects, and environmental audio to racing context while maintaining spatial positioning accuracy that helped players navigate courses through audio cues. The implementation of positional audio became particularly important as tracks grew more complex and three-dimensional, providing essential feedback about approaching opponents, environmental hazards, and navigation landmarks. Adaptive music systems represented significant technical achievements in creating seamless transitions between musical variations based on race position, lap progression, and dramatic moments without noticeable interruptions or jarring changes that could disrupt player immersion. These systems required careful composition planning and sophisticated audio programming to ensure that musical shifts enhanced rather than distracted from competitive focus. Controller integration complexity increased dramatically, with motion control implementation in Mario Kart Wii requiring precise calibration algorithms and responsive filtering systems that could translate physical movements into accurate steering inputs while accommodating individual differences in motion range, grip strength, and movement patterns. The technical challenge of making motion controls feel natural while maintaining competitive viability demanded extensive user testing and iterative refinement. accessibility option implementation required careful consideration of diverse player needs, while avoiding compromises that might undermine core gameplay for traditional control users, leading to sophisticated assistance systems that could provide graduated support levels without creating obvious advantages or disadvantages for different player populations. The smart steering feature in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe exemplified this approach by preventing course boundaries violations while preserving skill-based racing line optimization for experienced players. Performance optimization across multiple hardware platforms demanded flexible engine architecture that could scale visual quality and system complexity based on available processing power, while maintaining consistent gameplay experience. Across different performance levels, the challenge became particularly acute with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's transition from Wii U to Switch, requiring visual fidelity preservation despite significant differences in docked versus handheld processing capabilities. The commitment to 60 frames per second racing created stringent performance requirements that influenced every aspect of technical implementation, from polygon count budgets to effect complexity limitations, with development teams consistently prioritizing smooth gameplay over visual flourishes when technical compromises became necessary. This philosophy reflected deep understanding of how frame rate stability affected competitive fairness and player enjoyment in fast-paced racing scenarios. Memory management sophistication grew exponentially as game scope expanded to include larger track selections, character rosters, and visual complexity, while working within fixed hardware limitations that demanded creative resource allocation and streaming strategies. The technical achievement of loading multiple high-resolution tracks simultaneously while maintaining instant access switching demonstrated programming excellence that influenced broader game development practices. Rendering pipeline optimization required innovative approaches to handling complex scenes with multiple transparent layers, particle effects, and dynamic lighting, while maintaining visual clarity and consistent performance during the most demanding racing moments. The anti-gravity sections in Mario Kart 8 presented particular challenges by requiring seamless camera transitions and spatial relationship management that preserved player orientation and control accuracy. Load time minimization became increasingly important as player expectations shifted toward immediate responsiveness, leading to sophisticated data compression, predictive loading, and caching strategies that could anticipate player needs while working within storage and memory constraints. The near instantaneous track loading in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe represented the culmination of years of technical refinement in this crucial area. Future technology integration possibilities continue expanding as hardware capabilities advance and new input methods emerge, with potential applications ranging from virtual reality adaptation to artificial intelligence enhancement and cloud-based processing augmentation. The technical foundations established through decades of Mario Kart development provide robust platforms for incorporating emerging technologies while preserving the essential gameplay characteristics that define the franchise. The legacy of technical innovation established through Mario Kart development influenced racing game development throughout the industry, while demonstrating how technical excellence could serve creative vision without overwhelming accessible gameplay, creating benchmarks for performance, stability, and innovative feature implementation that continue guiding contemporary game development practices and establishing expectations for quality that extend far beyond the racing genre into broader interactive entertainment development. The cultural influence of Mario Kart extends far beyond the boundaries of gaming into broader society, shaping design philosophy across multiple industries while establishing principles of accessible competition and inclusive entertainment that have influenced everything from educational methodology to therapeutic intervention strategies. The franchise's impact on contemporary culture reflects its unique ability to bridge generational, cultural, and socioeconomic divides through shared experiences that transcend traditional barriers to participation and enjoyment. The influence on racing game design philosophy proved transformative for an entire genre that had previously focused primarily on simulation accuracy or pure arcade action, with Mario Kart demonstrating how personality, accessibility, and strategic depth could coexist successfully within competitive frameworks. Countless racing games across multiple platforms adopted elements first pioneered in Mario Kart, from power-up systems and battle modes to character-based vehicle customization and fantastical track designs that prioritized entertainment value over realistic representation. Academic research into Mario Kart's design principles revealed sophisticated applications of game theory, psychology, and user experience design that provided valuable insights for fields ranging from educational software development to behavioral economics and social interaction design. University courses in game design, psychology, and media studies regularly analyze Mario Kart as a case study in successful, accessible design that maintains engagement across diverse skill levels while fostering positive social interactions. The psychology of power-up systems became a subject of serious academic inquiry as researchers investigated how Mario Kart's item distribution mechanics influenced player behavior, emotional regulation, and competitive attitudes. Studies revealed that the controlled randomness of Mario Kart's item system created more positive competitive experiences compared to purely skill-based alternatives, suggesting applications for conflict resolution, team building, and educational assessment methodologies that needed to balance achievement recognition with participant retention. Educational applications of Mario Kart principles emerged across multiple academic disciplines as educators discovered how the game's approach to skill development, failure recovery, and incremental improvement could enhance learning experiences in subjects ranging from mathematics and physics to social studies and language art. The game's demonstration that complex systems could remain accessible while rewarding mastery provided templates for curriculum design that balanced challenge with support. The therapeutic applications of Mario Kart surprised many professionals as occupational therapists, physical rehabilitation specialists, and mental health counselors discovered the game's effectiveness in addressing various treatment goals. The combination of fine motor skill requirements, strategic thinking demands, and positive social interaction opportunities made Mario Kart valuable for rehabilitation programs, while its engaging nature improved patient compliance and motivation compared to traditional therapeutic exercises. Social gaming evolution traced much of its philosophical foundation to Mario Kart's demonstration that competitive games could strengthen rather than strain relationships when designed with appropriate balance between skill expression and accessible participation. The franchise's approach to handling victory and defeat, managing frustration, and celebrating achievement influenced broader gaming culture while providing models for positive competitive interaction that extended into other entertainment and social contexts. Mainstream media representation of Mario Kart reflected its evolution from niche gaming property to recognized cultural institution, with references appearing regularly in television shows, movies, advertising campaigns, and social media content that assumed audience familiarity with Mario Kart concepts and imagery. Late-night television appearances by celebrities playing Mario Kart validated its status as universal entertainment rather than specialized gaming content, while introducing the franchise to audiences who might never have encountered it otherwise. The accessibility movement within gaming traced significant inspiration to Mario Kart's pioneering efforts to accommodate players with diverse abilities and experience levels through optional assistance features, customizable difficulty settings, and inclusive design principles that enabled meaningful participation without compromising competitive integrity for traditional players. These innovations influenced accessibility implementation across the gaming industry, while demonstrating that inclusive design could enhance rather than compromise core gameplay experiences. International cultural adaptation revealed Mario Kart's remarkable ability to maintain its essential appeal across diverse cultural contexts while accommodating regional preferences and avoiding potentially problematic content that might limit accessibility in different markets. The franchise's success in maintaining global consistency while respecting local sensitivities provided models for international entertainment distribution that balanced universal themes with cultural sensitivity. Family bonding applications emerged as one of Mario Kart's most significant cultural contributions, with countless families discovering shared experiences that bridged generational gaps and created positive associations with gaming that influenced broader attitudes toward interactive entertainment. The game's ability to accommodate different skill levels simultaneously meant that parents, children, and grandparents could compete meaningfully together, fostering understanding and communication across age groups. The blue shell debate transcended gaming circles to become a broader cultural metaphor for discussions about fairness, competition, and the appropriate balance between merit-based rewards and systems designed to prevent overwhelming dominance. Academic discussions in economics, political science, and social policy regularly reference Mario Kart's approach to managing competitive balance as an example of how designed systems can influence behavioral outcomes and social dynamics. Gender inclusivity research highlighted Mario Kart's relatively successful approach to creating gaming experiences that appealed equally to different demographic groups without relying on stereotypical content or excluding particular populations. through design choices. The franchise's character diversity, accessible mechanics, and positive competitive culture provided examples for creating inclusive entertainment that welcomed broad participation without sacrificing depth or engagement. Intergenerational gaming studies frequently cited Mario Kart as exemplary in its ability to create shared experiences between players of vastly different ages and gaming experience levels, with research showing how these interactions improved family relationships, enhanced communication, and created positive associations with technology that influenced broader attitudes toward digital entertainment and learning tools. The influence on user interface design extended far beyond gaming, as designers across multiple industries adopted principles pioneered in Mario Kart's approach to information, presentation, accessibility options, and progressive complexity revelation. The franchise's demonstration that sophisticated systems could remain intuitive influenced software design philosophy while providing examples of how visual design could support rather than overwhelm functional requirements. Competitive philosophy discussions in sports, business, and education regularly reference Mario Kart's approach to balancing skill recognition with accessibility, using the franchise as an example of how competitive systems could maintain integrity while preventing the complete dominance that might discourage participation from less experienced competitors. These discussions influenced policy development in youth sports, educational assessment, and workplace competition structures. The viral marketing phenomenon surrounding moments like the Luigi death stare demonstrated how gaming content could transcend its original medium to become broader cultural touchstones that influenced social media trends, advertising strategies, and entertainment marketing approaches. The organic nature of these cultural moments provided insights into how authentic content could achieve broader reach than traditional marketing campaigns, while building stronger emotional connections with audiences. Community formation around Mario Kart established models for positive online interaction that contrasted sharply with the toxic behavior patterns that emerged around many competitive gaming communities, demonstrating how design, philosophy, and community management could influence social dynamics in digital spaces. The franchise's success in maintaining welcoming, competitive environments provided examples for community building that influenced social platform design and moderation strategies. The philosophical implications of Mario Kart's approach to chance, skill, and fairness contributed to broader discussions about justice, merit, and the role of randomness in determining outcomes across various social and economic contexts. Academic discussions in philosophy, sociology, and political science examined Mario Kart systems as examples of how designed randomness could serve social functions while maintaining competitive legitimacy. Technology adoption patterns showed how Mario Kart consistently served as a gateway experience that introduced new gaming technologies to mainstream audiences, from motion controls and online multiplayer to portable gaming and social features. The franchise's role in validating new platforms and interaction methods influenced technology development strategies, while demonstrating how familiar content could ease adoption of unfamiliar interfaces. Cultural preservation efforts within gaming communities often centered around Mario Kart entries as representatives of different technological eras and design philosophies, with preservation enthusiasts working to maintain access to historical versions while documenting the cultural context that surrounded their original releases. These efforts reflected the franchise's significance as cultural artifacts that represented broader technological and social developments. The legacy of cultural impact established through decades of Mario Kart influence continues expanding as new generations discover the franchise, while longtime fans pass their appreciation to family members and friends, creating continuous cultural transmission that ensures the franchise's principles and innovations remain relevant across changing technological and social landscapes that will likely extend far beyond current predictions about gaming's future cultural significance. As we reach the finish line of our journey through Mario Kart's remarkable history, we find ourselves at the beginning of yet another lap. This beloved franchise has taught us that the true victory lies not in crossing the finish line first, but in the joy of the journey itself. From those first pixelated races on the Super Nintendo to the breathtaking anti-gravity spectacles of today, Mario Kart has remained a constant companion through decades of gaming evolution. The series stands as a testament to Nintendo's understanding that the best games are not just technical achievements, but bridges that connect us to each other and to our sense of wonder. As you drift off to sleep tonight, perhaps you'll dream of rainbow roads stretching infinitely through star-filled skies, of perfectly timed power slides around impossible corners, and of that magical moment when skill, luck, and pure joy converge in perfect harmony. The road ahead remains unwritten, filled with new tracks to master and new memories to create. Until our paths cross again on the racetrack of dreams, may your dreams be filled with shortcuts discovered and victories earned. Good night, racers.